नित्यं नरोञ्चैव नरोत्तमम् देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयत्मुदिरहे नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेव्या भागवते उत्तमा श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text number 43 to 46. The chapter is titled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. Sauryam tejoditi daksham yuddhe chapi appalayanam Dhanam Ishvara bhavascha Shatram karma sabhavajam. Translation. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Krishi go raksha vanijyam vaishya karma sabhavajam Paricharyatmakam karma sudrasyapi sabhavajam. Farming, cow protection and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras there is labor and service to others. Sve sve karmani abhirattaha samsiddhim labhate nara sakarma nirhatta siddhim yatha bindanti tatshinu. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. And then the words today, 46. Yatah pravritti bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmanatam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manava. Yatah pravritti bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam Swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddhim bindanti manava. Yataha pravritti bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam. Swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddhim bindati manava. Anybody else would like to chant? 46 verse.
Prabhuji, can I try?
Please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yatah pravritti bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyachaya siddham vindati manava. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Very good. Anybody else?
I'll try, Prabhuji. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manava.
Very good.
Yata pravrittirbhutanaam yena sarvam idam tamam tattatam swakarmanatam abhyarcha siddhim vindanti manava.
Very good. Anybody else from the Prabhuji side?
Yat parvati bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam sarva karmanata papyacham siddhim vivati manava.
Okay. Let's hear the audio.
यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततं स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः.
Yataha, from whom, pravritti, the emanation, bhutanam, of all living entities, yena, by whom, sarvam, all, idam, this, tatam, is pervaded, swakarmana, by his own duties, tam, him, abhyarchya, by worshipping, siddhim, perfection, vindanti, achieves, manavaha, a man. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. Purport. As stated in the 15th chapter, all living beings are fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the Supreme Lord is the beginning of all living entities. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadi Ashyataha. The Supreme Lord is therefore the beginning of life of every living being. And as the Supreme Lord is therefore the beginning of life of every living entity. And as stated in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord, by his two energies, his external energy and internal energy, is all pervading. Therefore, one should worship the Supreme Lord with his energies. Generally, the Vaishnava devotees worship the Supreme Lord with his internal energy. His external energy is a perverted reflection of the internal energy. The external energy is a background, but the Supreme Lord, by the expansion of his plenary portion as Paramatma, is situated everywhere. He is the super soul of all demigods, all human beings, all animals, everywhere. One should therefore know that as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one has his duty to render service unto the Supreme. Everyone should be engaged in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness. That is recommended in this verse. Everyone should think that he is engaged in a particular type of occupation by Rishikesha, the master of the senses, and by the result of the work in which one is engaged, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, should be worshipped. If one thinks always in this way in full Krishna consciousness, then by the grace of the Lord, he becomes fully aware of everything. That is the perfection of life. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, 7th verse, Tesa Maham Samudartha, the Supreme Lord himself takes charge of delivering such a devotee. That is the highest perfection of life. In whatever occupation one may be engaged, if he serves the Supreme Lord, he will achieve the highest perfection. Om Magnanatiminandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sijata Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले कृताय स्वामी यथा प्रवृत्ति भूतानां येन सर्वम् इदं ततं स्वकर्माणा तम अभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own works. So, we see in the previous section that how influenced by the three modes of material nature, a person acts. Like the activity is performed in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, charity performed in goodness, passion, ignorance, austerity performed in goodness, passion, ignorance. Not only that, even happiness gotten in goodness, passion, ignorance. Right? Determination in goodness, passion, ignorance, etc., etc. So, that's in the three modes of material nature. So, how one can get over those three modes of material nature? In the seventh chapter, it mentions Daivi Shagunamai Manamam Durte Mam Eve Prapadante Mayamitam Tarantite. One can cross over the three modes of material nature by surrendering onto uh, Mukunda. Right. But one is not at that step of complete surrender. How can one gradually do that? So here it's explained that by Niskam Karma Yoga, one is situated naturally in he has inclination based on his varna and ashrama. Right. Especially here the varna is mentioned about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. That there are various qualities are mentioned about a Brahmana in the 42nd verse. Right. Let me just pull up one. Right. So 9 qualities are mentioned about the Brahmana: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. And we read the 43rd verse to 46th verse. In the 43rd verse, 7 qualities are mentioned about a Kshatriya: heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity and leadership. A Vaishya, three qualities are mentioned: Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam, farming, cow protection, and business. While Shudra, one quality is mentioned: labor and service to other. Right? Uh, ah, labor and service to others. Right. So anyone can become perfect by following the duties of his work. Right. So in the 45th verse is mentioned that no, yeah, based on this Varna, right, he has a inbuilt qualities. Right. Again, we see in the second chapter, Chaturvanya Mahashishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Right. That is, four classification of Varna and Ashram is done by the Lord Himself by Guna and Karma, not by Janma, by Guna and Karma. So if one performs dutifully Nishkam Karma Yoga, his duty based on these qualities as a Brahmana, as a Kshatriya, as a Vaishya, or even as a Sudra, then he will become purified. Right? One performs his duties and additionally he offers the results of his duties to the Supreme Lord. He offers the results of his duties, of his karma. That's why it's called Niskam Karma Yoga. He's not, no, means he performs his activities. The results are not in his hand. The results is for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Right. So he offers the results to the Supreme Lord, then he naturally becomes, no, means over a period of time uh, purified, where he can come exclusively later on to full dedication to the Supreme Lord. Right. And then the Lord guarantees that himself in the 7th verse of the 12th chapter. Why? Because the Lord is the origin of everything. Janmadi yashayataha. He is the origin of each and every living entity. And by knowing that, if a living entity, Mamai Vansho Jiva, look at Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, who is the fragmental part and parts of the Supreme Lord, if he serves the Supreme Lord by all his senses, Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uttamam, right? By all his senses. So serving the Supreme Lord by all his senses, and the Supreme Lord has these two energies, the internal energy and the external energy. The Vaishnavas serve the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. And they chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They are invoking the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. Oh Srimati Radhani, oh the internal energy of the Supreme Lord, please utilize me in the service of the Supreme Lord. So they are serving the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. But then in the external energy of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is present in each and every atom as Paramatma. He is present in each and every living entity as Paramatma, animals as Paramatma, and in each and every atom also he is present. In between the atom and within the atom. Right. So he is present as Paramatma. So if one performs his duty to render service unto him, where the senses are engaged in service of Rishikesha, right, then the Lord reciprocates with him He takes charge of delivering the devotee. Right. So, whatever occupation he may be engaged in, if he serves the Lord, he will achieve the highest perfection. Whatever occupation he is engaged in. But the results are used in service of the Supreme Lord. And that perfection of Niskam Karma Yoga is that Lord reciprocates with that devotee and delivers him, right? And delivers such a devotee. That's what the Lord mentions in 12th chapter, 7th verse. So, a living entity who is fragmental part and parts of the Supreme Lord. The part has to serve the whole, the Supreme Lord. And why he has to serve the Supreme Lord is because he's the source of everything. The Lord is the source of everything. Right. So he has whatever inclination he has based on, it's like Brahmana, 9 qualities, Kshatriya, 7 qualities, Vaishya, 3 qualities, or Shudra. In any Varna he may be in. If he performs his duty according to his Varna, right? If he performs his duty according to his Varna, then naturally, he will come. The Lord will deliver him if he performs on the platform Niskam Karma Yoga. Okay, are there any questions and discussions on this subject matter? Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Prabhuji, can you go over again exactly what it means by Nishkam Karma Yogi?
Very nice. What it means by Niskam Karma Yogi, in fact, Karma Yogi itself, yoga is like the union of desires, right? Between an individual living entity and the Supreme Lord. When that union of desires between the individual living entity and the Supreme Lord is through fruitive activity, is through an activity, performance of activity is called Karma Yoga. Fruitive activity, because karma always has a fruit. Whatever activity which we perform has a result. So when that result is engaged in the service of the Lord, it is called as Niskam Karma Yoga. Right? We perform an activity, there is a result. But that result, if we use it in the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, it becomes Niskam Karma Yoga. Like Arjuna is a Kshatriya. He is, he is asked to serve the Supreme Lord by performing his activity as a Kshatriya. Lord is not telling Arjuna that, oh, okay, no, it's just take to the path of bhakti. Forget your duties as a Kshatriya and renounce all activities. right? In the beginning of third chapter, we see that question. In the beginning of fifth chapter, we see that question where Arjuna is asking that, on one side you are telling me to renounce, on the other side you are telling me to perform activity. What is good? And Lord is mentioning the renunciation of, means activity by itself, right? If we are not at that particular platform, it is Markat Vairagya. So one should renounce the results of one's activity, which is Niskam Karma Yoga, right? In other sense, use that results in the service of the Lord. Is that all right, Sandeep Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you for elaborating.
Okay. In, in a practical terms, for the elaboration, like we all are performing now when we are working outside, we are not fully um, full-time devotees of the Supreme Lord. We are working outside, right? So that is karma. We are performing karma. How can we make that as karma yoga? We are working outside, but we put Krishna in the center of our activity, right? Whatever at our respective home, whatever we cook, we offer it to the Supreme Lord, right? The results of our work, which is our pay, income, we use it to pay our mortgages, we use it to pay our different bills. But at the same time, in that house, we have a temple. Then we are paying the mortgage, we are paying the bill of a temple. And we are using that house not as our house for sense gratification, but it's the Lord's house. Let me satisfy the senses of the Lord. Let me invite Vaishnavas. Let me serve them. Right. Then that house becomes a temple. Then whatever activities which you perform, like paying the mortgage, this and that thing, becomes devotional service. Because now you are paying the mortgage, you are paying all the things for, not for your own sense gratification, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. If you want to nail it down more on a practical terms, that's what it kind of boils down to. Does that help, Sandeep Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I have a question regarding this.
Sorry, Mataji, 1 second. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, does help. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, with this context, you have said like, if means just every time we have to keep the Krishna as a center. Even you are from working at a home or you are going outside. So there is one question.
Yeah.
The person who is coming knocking at the door. Yeah.
Haribol.
Yeah, if a person is knocking at the door and if his intention or her intention is not really good, that I have understood how to behave with that person, because if person is in a Krishna consciousness, he cannot do means he cannot react in a very bad manner. So how to do it, Prabhuji?
Yeah, so you cannot react in a bad manner, but at the same time, you can react intelligently, right? If the person knocking at the door no, is not is there to loot Krishna's energy, Krishna's property, what would you do? You will protect it, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, that does not mean that we will act badly to that person. That any person knocks at the door, we act rudely towards them. No, we kind of no, have a welcoming spirit. Okay, right now with all the security things going on, do that welcoming spirit through a video call. You have that video ringer or something like that. Have a see that person.
No,
Video
like he
call.
is very much envious, or his intention is not good, not in the term of stealing or robbing, but in the terms of not behaving. Like the question he is coming with him is not good, actually, with the good intention. Means like, in a very layman language, we used like don't or something like that. So that may hurt me, or maybe it may be a false ego that will hurt. Lekin वो होता तो है ना प्रभु जी, मतलब it hurts sometimes
Mhm.
people's behavior.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that is my question, Prabhu ji.
So things like that, when they have that envious mood, give them prasadam. No means Brahma Bhutta Prasanatmana Sochati na Kangsati. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu. Right.
Yeah,
The
Prabhu
Brahman
ji.
realized platform. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu. Whether person is envious or person is no, a very well-wishing friend, we treat them equally. By it's okay. But when we keep Krishna in the center, to the extent they are able to connect to engage in the service of the Lord, fine. Otherwise, take prasad and Hare Krishna, come again.
Okay, Prabhu ji.
But we don't have to kind of because if a person comes with envious mood and we kind of become reactive to that,
Mhm.
we will also get touched by that envious mood,
Yeah.
right? And that will also affect us.
Yeah, true.
But when we are not affected, we are just serving the Supreme Lord.
Mhm.
Hey, take this prasad, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu ji.
Then we become like, when neighbors at times come, because last few years to the neighbors, I'm every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm giving them something, right?
But it becomes very hard, Prabhuji, to tolerate the other person's vibes. If that energy is very much negative and it's coming towards me, I'm trying to control myself, but still, maybe the words I'm not expressing them. But yes, then we also get affected. Like for few minutes, for certain minutes, I get involved in those stuffs. What had happened few minutes before, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where we come to that stage where Mahaprabhu mentions Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saisuna Amanina Manatina Kirtane Sadari. When we continuously engage in serving the Supreme Lord, we'll come to that stage that hey, these things won't affect us. More when we are on the material platform, it will affect us more and more. But more when we are absorbed in the service of the Lord, right? We see examples of Mirabai. Now, her mother-in-law was envious, right? How far? Sultan, these, so much so that they gave her poison.
Yeah.
See, was she affected? No, she was
Yeah.
not affected. We are not at that platform, but we can imbibe those qualities that, if I follow my devotional service sincerely, I will also come to that platform. right, where this externals does not affect us. Because in this material world, you'll find everybody, if they are in sense gratification, they are envious of the Supreme Lord. Right? You know, why Lord has to enjoy? Why not me? That means they are envious of the Supreme Lord. Right. And then that level of enviousness can manifest in different ways. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat
Pranam.
Glory to Srila Prabhupada. My question was, especially in today's, we are all, we are varnas are there not based on birth, but by our duties,
Yes.
by what work we do. So in today's times, is it not possible that a person can be in two varnas at the same time?
Can be in two worlds at the same time. Well, yeah, in one sense, in Kali Yuga, Kalau Sambhava Sudraha, most of the time, everybody is a Shudra in Kali Yuga. In one sense, the moment we are working for somebody, it makes us a Shudra, that, oh, we are working for somebody,
Hmm.
right? A Brahmana, Kshatriya, or a Vaishya does not work for somebody. A Shudra works for somebody, right?
Mhm.
So from that aspect, we are Shudras, right?
So what about businessmen?
Businessmen, yeah, so they come to the Vaishya platform, right? Entrepreneurs, they are come to the Vaishya platform. Ish Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam is business, right? So some class, we see some qualities there. Somebody wants to teach, so teaching comes in which platform? Brahmanical quality. But at the same time, he has many other qualities which does not make him a Brahmana. But yes, he has that propensity to teach, or he has that propensity to administer. He has some Kshatriya quality, right?
Mhm.
So yes, those different qualities are there amidst us, in us, other. Does that help, Mataji?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. So like I feel we have so many brahmanas, right? Like in our temple because of the second Diksha.
Vaishnava Brahmanas.
Okay.
They are different than Brahmanas from Guna and Karma. They are Vaishnava Brahmanas.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. All
Except
glory to
Vaishnava
Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
So Prabhu, we all come with a baggage of a karma,
Yes.
and then we take birth in a particular family. That is also a karma.
Mm-hmm.
And then the family upbringing circumstances adds to our behavior and outlook, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever our tendencies is, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who is born in a Brahmana family, and since childhood he sees all the rituals and puja being performed, whatever be that case, correct? So his tendency gets to be in that area. Now, our free will, when we use a free will, we also depend a lot on whatever is our upbringing, our biases, whatever. It has been shaped by circumstances, plus a previous karma. So, Prabhu, the idea is now that we understand the philosophy or the concept of Nishkam karma. Whatever be our baggage, whatever be our background.
Yeah.
How is it that we can train, so to say, the free will, that the work that I'm doing, let me offer my results to that, whatever comes from it, let it be in Krishna's service.
Yeah.
So end of the day, it is a choice we make, no Prabhu. Even if I'm earning X dollars, I'll say I'll give 1%, 5%, 10%, whatever, towards Krishna. But most of it, I'll keep it for my use, which is sense gratification. And I'll justify it as, oh, family responsibilities, oh, this or that, whatever. So how do we train the mind to be free will, to be Nishkam karma?
Yeah, good. So free will means either we can use that free will in serving, as you mentioned, our own senses, sense gratification, or use that free will in serving the Supreme Lord. Right? Either we can serve Maya or we can serve the Krishna. In either of the situation, we are going to serve. Right? We are going to serve in either of the situation. Now, when we serve the Supreme Lord with all our senses, and we are working outside, it's called Niskam Karma Yoga. Right. When we still execute our free will to not completely serve the Supreme Lord, to some extent serve the Supreme Lord, but at the same time take care of quote unquote sense gratification in form of, as you mentioned, family responsibility or this or that or that. It is called Sakam Karmi. Okay, yes, some concept of the Supreme Lord, but we are performing Sakam Karma. Right? No, Bhagavad Gita completely details that out. Okay, we are performing Sakam Karma. We are performing an activity, and the results, as you mentioned, to the level as we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, 1%, 2%. The other percent is Sakam Karma. Niskam Karma means 100% doing it for the Supreme Lord. Right? 100% from the Supreme Lord. That is completely Niskam Karma. Not that, whether I fight the war, I should not fight the war, or if I fight the war, this will happen or that will happen. And ultimately, Arjuna is completely confused. Forget about it. I am a soul surrendered to you. I'm your disciple. You guide me. You want me to fight? I'll fight. And at the end of the 18th chapter, that's what Arjuna does. Now all my doubts are dispelled. I will fight the war. That means he's completely compared, no, means he's completely convinced to perform Niskam Karma Yoga. Still Niskam Karma because he is going to perform activity as a Kshatriya, but fully convinced that it's for the Supreme Lord. So Niskam Karma Yoga. Right? Similarly, when we are completely convinced, not a tinge of that oh, I'm doing it for my own sense gratification. I'm doing it for the Supreme Lord, right? Whatever activities I perform, it's just for his satisfaction. Then to that level, we would be in Niskam Karma Yoga. And additionally, as devotees, Vaishnavas, we are adding bhakti to it, where we are performing devotional service as sadhakas, as students. Does that help, Amritambha?
Partially, yes, Prabhu. So if I can ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, please.
The 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 last statement which you make as sadhakas, we are doing bhakti.
Yeah.
So whatever we're offering is, as love. So is it? I'm a little confused. So even a nishkam karma person is offering his results to Krishna, no? So isn't that bhakti also?
Yeah, but he does not have much understanding of the Supreme Lord at that particular point.
Okay.
So the Lord reciprocates with him, just like we heard in these particular words. Lord reciprocates with him when he is performing his activity, though and giving the results for the Supreme Lord. Right in the earlier chapters, in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we learn about Mai Sarvani Karmani. Right, that particular verse. Two disadvantages of Niskam Karma Yoga is he does not have full conception of the Supreme Lord. That's one. And the second is because of Jwara, where he could tend to become lazy, that if the results to begin with is not for me, it's for the Supreme Lord, why should I perform the activity? Right? Why should I perform the activity? Or why should I go to work? Because if the income, I'm not going to use it for my self gratification and just give it to the Supreme Lord. Why should I perform the work? Right. So it could tend to become lazy. So those are the two weaknesses mentioned about on the platform of Niskam Karma Yoga. That Niskam Karma Yogi has to be careful about these two activities. That no, not that Arjuna saying if no means why should I perform these Satya duties? Why can't I just renounce and go to the forest? But when he's completely convinced, he fights valiantly as a Satriya, knowing very well that the results are not in his hand, it's in the hands of the Lord. If the Lord wants me to become victorious, fine. If the Lord wants me to lose, fine. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's in one sense, if more we dotel ourselves in the service of the Supreme Lord, right, then no. At the end of the day, when you become dependent, completely dependent on the Supreme Lord. Not independent, but completely dependent on the Supreme Lord. So whatever you want to do, it's up to you. More, will become anxiety-less. Right. Otherwise, we'll always be I mean, fear, anxiety, fear of losing job, fear of this, fear of that. But at the end of the day, what are we going to lose? Nothing. What did we come up with? Nothing. So what are we going to lose? Nothing.
Mm, Prabhu, if I can share, I was
Yeah.
talking with a Mataji, and she really does a lot of seva in the background without any shosha. So I was asking her that, Mataji, what drives you? What is the driving force? So we had a long conversation, and she said something very similar to what you were saying. So from childhood, she had the good fortune of being raised in a not an ISKCON, but a Krishna conscious family. Her parents were Krishna's devotees, and then she used to listen to a Swami who used to tell all Krishna kathas. All these pastimes. So almost every day they used to listen to this Swami. Then she grew up, got married, went through a lot of problems in her life. So she's saying that made me depend on Krishna.
Yeah.
Because I realized that anything and everything, whatever I can try to do, anyone else tries to do, doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
So she's saying, I have full dependence on Krishna. And once I did that dependence, then I could see things turning around slowly.
Yeah.
And Krishna has done so much for me. So it is my gratitude.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing is my gratitude, and it's not enough. And I want to do more and more. So I thought that was very significant. Like, we take I know I do it. The services for granted, the opportunities are for granted, or the convenience. Can I do it? I can't do it. Whatever. But I think there's three aspects of faith and dependence, such an important.
Yeah.
And gratitude.
Yeah.
So that was very, very inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude. Being thankful that we are in the service of the Supreme Lord. So we can be thankful in that way. In Bhagavatam, there's a verse, otherwise, that one who thinks of gratitude towards a spiritual master or the Supreme Lord, right? That um, uh, they have done so much for me that one who thinks of repaying the debt for the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord is considered as a joker, because they have given us so much that we don't have anything in this world to repay that back. But to just continue performing services and following that instruction. There's nice words which is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam on that. Often used as an offering in Vyas Puja to the spiritual master. That, what you have given me, I have nothing in this world to repay it back. Right. Just give me that mercy that I can just follow your instruction life after life. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Anything?
I mean, Friday night, so we can continue the discussion. But if you got to go, you can go, Prabhu.
No,
I know it
that's
is
all right.
8:10.
We can continue if somebody has questions for it.
So, Prabhu, the challenge, is there are so many instructions and philosophy, humility, gratitude, this, that, so many are there. And mentally we can appreciate and agree with it. There is no conflict over there.
Yeah.
But in our moment to moment, like, either free will, making a choice, or actually practicing it, that's where the roadblocks come in. So
Yeah.
for an attitude of gratitude, how to look at a seva opportunity as an, how to be grateful that we're getting it rather than that, oh God, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So how to develop all these things? And I mean, gratitude is one way, seva is one example, but so many things, Prabhu, are japa, inattention during japa, and we don't look at it, we don't value, at least my situation, I'm talking, Prabhu, that value of what Guru has given, the value of the holy name.
Yeah. Let's work in a mood of humility. Right. If you look at these where, somehow or other, this seva, Lord is engaging, giving me an opportunity to engage myself in His service. Not that the service is dependent on my service. Many times we think that service, if I don't do that service, nobody else in the world will be qualified to do that service. So that service is dependent on my service. No. Somehow the Lord, by the mercy of the spiritual master, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas who are extending that service to me, it is for my benefit that service has come to me so that I can engage my senses in service of the Lord. Right. In the initial phase, we don't see it like that because we are in the jaundice condition of life where candy is being offered to us in form of service. We feel that as very bitter. But more we'll take that bitter pill initially. Later on, we'll come to that realization that, that bitter pill which I followed, right? Yeah. And more bitter pill, which ultimately it will turn into nectar. At that time, we'll realize that, this person was engaging me in this service. Hold on for one moment. Yeah, one moment, Prabhuji. Somebody is buying something. I just had to pass an instruction.
No problem.
I was thinking, after the class, I have to go to Costco to get something, and Krishna provides me in form of some help. Okay. Yeah. So then we will appreciate and understand that, oh, how this Vaishnava somehow not allowing me to use my senses in sense gratification, he engaged my senses in the service of the Lord.
Mm.
Right. So that appreciation has to be there. Right. Otherwise, at each and every moment, we will think of, if I'm not being engaged in service, how would I engage my senses? If my mind is idle, most of the time it will be engaged in sense gratification. Let me watch a movie, let me watch cricket, let me watch this, let me watch that, let me go on Facebook, internet, social media, how many likes, how many people appreciated, how many, so all those kind of things, which is ultimately a lower taste. The higher taste which we get is in the service of the Lord. But we will engage ourselves in this lower taste till the point when we are not fully focused in service of the Lord. But when we are fully focused in service of the Lord, then even despite any of these difficulties, we'll just want to serve the Supreme Lord. One service is over, and then you'll think, oh, what's next? Oh, let me do this. Let me do that in the service of the Lord. Let me do that. And practically, that's what we'll see in the life of the Goswamis, the life of our spiritual master, life of senior devotees, that they're fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Yeah. So that's why it's considered as life is a preparation, death is an examination. The means we come to that particular stage, fully absorbed in the service of the Supreme Lord. And then means somebody doesn't have to tell. We say, oh, Prabhuji, I have this time. What can I do? I can go out, distribute books. I can do this. I can do that. Or I have this time. I study Shastra. I don't let my mind go this way or that way or that way. Yeah. Yeah. Is that good, Amitabh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else wants to add something?
Hare Krishna Madhupati.
Yeah, Prakash.
Okay, now maybe you can clarify more.
Yeah.
There could be service opportunity. You may also wanted to do it, but then maybe physical conditions or health issue or whatever, you may not be able to accept that service. What do you suggest on that?
Yeah. A service opportunity your health does not permit. Still, you can say, okay, oh, Prabhu, you have this service opportunity, my health does not permit, but I will still come and sit there. Right? Still, if you are in that service environment, automatically, we see devote just like Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu. Oh, my health does not permit to cook in the kitchen. Right? Throughout his life, he cooked in the kitchen. My health does not permit to cook in the kitchen. Oh, I still have time. What should I do? He is giving Chanamrit. People can just sit at the reception. Health does not permit. We'll give them a chair. You sit in the temple. If they want to dedicate, or at home, health does not permit. Some limbs does not work this way or that way. Just call people. Tell them about Krishna. Oh, we have this Bhagavad Gita. Would you like to have one? How much? You just have to sit and call. Right. So in that way, there are so many services which can be done even when our physical health does not permit. Right. Physical health does not permit. No, it's okay. Let me just chant. I was just mentioning this time about how, oh my God, brother, was chanting till the end. Health was not permitting. Was chanting. The time came when he did not even have energy where the syllable will come out. He could speak. He started doing the rounds in his mind. And he will count. Yeah. Practical examples which we see in front of us, that how we similarly can try to imbibe that in our life, that to the end, no matter what, we can be engaged. Yeah. So whoever feels that way, that the health is not permitting, but they have time and they want to be engaged in services, and they could not find some services, please let us know. Please let us know. Is that okay? Jayaprakash Prabhu?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Prabhu.
Mantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai,
Jai.
Vaishnavinda ki jai.
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 Vanchakalpatarubhasya
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Pavanebhyo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Vaishnavinda ki jai.
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 And
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur
Jai.
Prabhupada. Hare Hare.
Jai.
Hari,
Hari
Hari,
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hare Bol.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Madhupati
Hari
Prabhu.
Thank you,
Bol,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Hare
everybody.
Krishna.